ganda ng look. Ayan, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Naririnig po ba ako? Bigyan niyo nga po ako ng thumbs up kung naririnig po ako. Ayan, para po sa iba, magandang umaga po. So bago po tayong mag-umpisa, let us feel the presence of our Lord to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Dear Lord, we praise and worship you today. You are exalted in our midst. We ask for forgiveness for every sin we have done. Have mercy on us, our Father. As we start our program today, let your guidance and protection be upon us. Send your Spirit to us and give us wisdom. We thank you for all the blessings we have received. We also thank you for the lives of the people in this place. Be glorified in everything we do. In your name we pray. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, telas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyang ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng bagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang lang matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidinig. Luman ang araw ng walang pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga akin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Ayan, maraming salamat po. So, additional reminders in our Zoom conference bukod sa mga reminders na naipakita kanina. First, you should be reminded that the entire orientation will be recorded. And of course, photos will be captured and certificates will be provided after the session. And some more additional reminders. Let us not forget to fill up our attendance, which is available in the chat box. Sinisend po natin yan. As for your questions and concerns, may isasend pong link sa inyo sa chat box. Ginagawa na po namin ito upang mas mapabilis ang pag-uulat ng ating mga resource speakers. And also, you need to change your Zoom name. Ganito po ang format. So your office, underscore your full name, underscore your position. So an example, nasa baba po. So if you have any questions regarding on how to do this, pwede nyo naman po kaming i-chat. But to those who know, ganito po dapat ang format ng ating user here in Zoom conference. Ayan. So, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Kamusta po mga ka-DILG at mga LGUs ng Mimaropa Region? Welcome to our orientation on results-based monitoring and evaluation of LGU infrastructure projects. Handa na po ba tayong makinig sa ating mga resource speakers for today's video? Bigyan niyo po ako ng heart reacts kung handa na po tayo. Pusuan po natin. Ayan, nakita ako ng maraming puso for today. So ngayong araw na ito, tatalakayin po ng ating mga resource speakers ang DILG Memo Circular 2022-050 or Results-Based Monitoring and Evaluation of LGU Infrastructure Projects or yung tinatawag nating Rlip. Upang tayo ay malinawan sa mga sa pag-implement nito and also to help us strengthen the institutional capacity of LGUs in RBME. Pero bago tayo magpatungo doon, pakinggan po natin ang mensahe galing sa aming pinaka-fresh na Regional Director. Let us welcome RD Carl Cesar R. Rimando. Let us give them a warm welcome. Bigyan po natin siya ng clapping reaction.
Good morning to our DLG colleagues in the regional office and the field offices, invited resource persons from the central office, and to everyone. A pleasant good morning to all of you, and thank you for joining us today. Sana po lahat tayo ay nasa maayos na kalagayan, kasama ang ating mga mahal sa buhay, at ligtas at maayos ang ating kalusugan. I am pleased to welcome all of you in the orientation of the results-based monitoring and evaluation of LGU infrastructure projects or Rlip. Rlip is designed to meet the needs of the changing governance environment by taking into consideration the LGU's larger role in implementing the infrastructure initiatives. It will also contribute to the concerted shift by the department to adopt more enhanced monitoring and evaluations model anchored on the results-based monitoring and evaluation system, initially focusing on the infrastructure sector at the LGU level. The full devolved system of governance, as contemplated in the Executive Order Number 138 and the Mandanas-Garcia Supreme Court ruling, is set to be realized this fiscal year 2022. Local government units will wield expanded functions and therefore carry increased responsibilities in the service of their constituents. Under full devolution, the Department of the Interior and Local Government role as overseer and local government partner remains. As advocates for the use of the comprehensive system for monitoring and evaluation, the DILG joins its partner at the local level in adopting innovativeness, multidisciplinary processes, measuring local governance performance, especially in key government reform areas. The DILG is spearheading the monitoring and evaluation of infrastructure projects of LGUs as funded under the Republic Act number 11639 of the fiscal year 2022 General Appropriations Act, Special Provision number 4 under DILG OSEC budget. The RBME of LGU infrastructure projects or Rlip shall be piloted to improve tracking of results and to meet the changing demands for transparency and accountability at all levels of the government. The RBME mainstreaming effort shall be applied to the current Office of the Project Development Service or the OPDS monitoring and evaluation framework, policies and tools for all local infrastructure projects based on pilot results. The RLIP adopts some elements of the regional project monitoring and evaluation system as designed by the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA for the MNE of development projects. As previously stated, it will enable more efficient tracking and measurement of progress of LGU performance in accordance with national and international development plans, goals, and commitments such as expressed in the Sustainable Development Goals or the SDG and the Ambition 2040. In addition to the allowing of the DALG to expand its performance of the results level, data extracted through the RLIP will also provide means for LGUs to measure their performance in relation to the national and international development targets and help align local development projects in accordance with results gathered. So to you, fellow Memoropans, I hope that this orientation will serve as a venue for learning and sharing of ideas. I wish everyone a productive session. Maraming salamat, magandang umaga, and welcome, Mimaropans.
Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong napakagandang mensahe, RD Carl. I hope na yung mga Mimaropans po natin, mga LGUs, and even our fellow DILG personnel ay makakuha ng magandang mensahe here in our orientation for today. So bago po tayo mag-proceed sa ating presentation or ating discussion, let us all please open our cameras. Magkakaroon po muna tayo ng photo op. So, stop sharing po muna tayo. Ayan. Pakibuksan po ang ating mahiwagang camera para sa ating photo op. So, how many pages po ang meron tayo? Meron po tayong 3 pages. So, magsa-start po muna tayo sa first page. Pakibukas po ang ating camera. Ayan. Smile po tayong lahat kahit sa ilalim ng mask. Sa first page. Ayan, very good. Second page na po tayo. Ayan. Third page, ang pinakahuli. Pakibukas po ang ating mga camera. Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Ayan, so magbabalik na po tayo sa ating diskurso. Ayan, maraming salamat po ulit, RD, sa pag-attend at pagbigay ng oras at para maibigay niyo po ang mensahe sa ating mga LGUs at mga ka-DILG. So bago po tayo magsimula, alamin po natin ang ating session flow. Let us find out the activities that we will be conducting for today. So we started po at 8:30 to 8:45 a.m. with the registration, which is facilitated by us here in regional office. 9:45 to 9 o'clock a.m. nagkaroon po tayo ng opening preliminaries, which are the invocation, national anthem, introduction of participants, and welcome and inspirational message from our very own regional director, RD Carl. Then 9 o'clock to 9:15, magsa-start na po tayo ng ating mahiwagang discussion, which is all about the background of RBME LGU infrastructure projects or Rlip, guidelines, roles, and responsibilities na magdi-discuss po ay si Ma'am Donna Marian D. Eugenio, ang PEO3 Mimaropa. And before everything else, let us acknowledge the presence of our very own Assistant Regional Director, ARD Ray Maranan. Good morning po sa inyo, sir. Ayan po. So, next po is 9:15 to 9:30. Magkakaroon po tayo ng discussion about Rlip implementation and process, which will be discussed by Miss Elaine Revillesa in ESA 2 from Mimaropa. Next po, 9:30 to 10 a.m. magkakaroon po tayo ng RPMS Forms and Logical Framework from Engineer 3 Jomar Tabernilla. Then on 10 a.m. to 12 noon, magkakaroon po tayo ng open forum. Then after open forum, magkakaroon po tayo ng lunch break. Then we will be returning to our activity on 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. to discuss about the continuation of RPMES forms and logical framework na si Engineer Jomar pa rin po ang magdi-discuss. And after that, open forum po ulit for 1 hour and 30 minutes from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Then on 4:30 to 4:45 p.m. would be other concerns and announcements regarding this orientation. And we will be having our closing remarks by 4:45 p.m. to 5 p.m. So, wag na po tayo magpatumpik-tumpik pa mga persons. Magkakaroon na po, isa-start na po natin ang ating orientation. So, let us welcome po si Ma'am Donna Marian Diuenyo, ang ating PO3 dito sa Regional Office para i-discuss ang background of RBME LGU infrastructure projects, Rlip guidelines, roles, and responsibilities. Bigyan po natin siya ng virtual hand.
So yun, good morning po. Ma'am Chloe, naririnig ba ako?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, so let's proceed. Good morning po, everyone. I'm Donna Marian Ureña, and I'll be discussing the guidelines for results-based monitoring and evaluation of LGU infrastructure projects. So for the outline of the presentation, we have the background of Rlip, the scope and coverage, policy, content, and guidelines. Under this is operational prerequisites and structures. Next is RBME of LGU infrastructure projects and its monitoring subsystems. Roles and responsibilities for DILG, LGU monitoring, and third-party monitoring. So now let's proceed to the background of Rlip. So under Section 24A of Rule 5 of the Implementing Rules and Regulations of the Republic Act Number 7160, or the Local Government Code of 1991, the provision for the delivery of basic services and facilities shall be devolved from the national government to provinces, cities, municipalities, and barangays, so that each local government unit shall be responsible for a minimum set of services and facilities in accordance with established national policies, guidelines, and standards. So under Section 17G of LGC, the ERA and other local resources shall first cover the cost of providing basic services and facilities. Section 287 of LGC also mandates LGUs to appropriate at least 20% of its ERA specifically to finance development projects, commonly known as the Local Development Fund. It is used to finance the priority projects of LGU as embodied in their duly approved local development plans and annual investment programs, or AIPs. So first, the following implementation of the Supreme Court ruling on the Mandanas-Garcia case, it is expected that by the FY 2022 onwards, there will be a significant increase in the local government unit share in the national tax allocation, formerly known as the Internal Revenue Allotment, or IRA. So, second, to address the imminent challenges and to ensure the sustainability of the said Supreme Court decision, Executive Number 138 Series 2021, or entitled Full Devolution on Certain Functions of the Executive Branch to Local Governments, creation of Committee on Devolution, and for other purposes was issued. In this EO, the role of the national government, which is to set the national policy, development strategy, and service delivery standards, and to assist, oversee, and supervise the LGU, complementary to the stronger implementing role that the LGUs shall assume by reason of devolution was emphasized. And third, to perform the supervisory function in connection with the implementation of the Mandanas ruling, the DILG was provided 100 million pesos in the FY 2022 GAA, or the Republic Act 11639, special provisions to be utilized by the DILG for the monitoring and evaluation of the performance of the LGUs in the implementation and management of all infrastructure projects through the use of results-based monitoring and evaluation system. The DILG shall also strengthen the local project monitoring committees, thus to assist the LGUs to assume greater roles and responsibilities in the monitoring and evaluation of the infrastructure projects devolved in its localities. So fourth, the DILG has been monitoring LGU projects under the Office of Project Development Services administered for programs. In 2021, the DILG was involved in the development of the program designed for the Growth Equity Fund. It aimed at providing support to poor, disadvantaged, and lagging behind LGUs. where the GEF was initially intended to fund capital-intensive projects, most of which are local infrastructure that poor LGUs will still find difficult to implement even with the increase in the NTA. Lastly, with the process and system of monitoring and evaluation established by the DILG, the DBM suggested that the DILG should expand its monitoring and LGU infrastructure projects to also include funded from local funds. Hence, the issuance of the DILG Memorandum Circular Number 2022-050 entitled Guidelines for the Results-Based Monitoring and Evaluation System of the LGU Infrastructure Projects. So the RBME and LGU's infrastructure projects focus on the measurement of results. This will enable NGAs to track the process of LGU performance in accordance with national and international development plans, goals, and commitments, such as those expressed in the Sustainable Development Goals and the Ambition 2040. So for the scope and coverage, the provinces, cities, and municipalities, except BARM, all DILG regional, provincial, city, and municipal offices, all concerned units under Office of the Project Development Service or OPDS, Information System and Technology Management Service or ISTMS, and other related DILG central bureaus and services. And lastly, the infrastructure projects funded by LGU through the 20% Development Fund as included in the respective FY 2022 AIP and other projects qualified under considerations provided in Section 3.5 for the reporting requirements, timeliness, and process in these guidelines. So let's move on the policy content and guidelines. So under the operational prerequisites, DILG have been involved in monitoring projects through the following operational platforms and policies. So first, Subaybayan ang Proyektong Bayan under the issuance of DILG MC number 2018-114 or the implementation of Subaybayan and the DILG MC number 2021-151 supplemental guidelines for the implementation of the Subaybayan system. Second, there shall be an established internal mechanism for reporting in the LGU, specifically for the submission of necessary data, documents, and forms for the respective DILG field offices in relation to the Subaybayan platforms and regional project monitoring and evaluation system. Our PMES is an established system for regional, provincial, city, and municipal level project monitoring committee to facilitate project implementation, problem solving, and monitoring and evaluation for development projects. For the purpose of pilot application for the Rlip, only processes relating to some RPMS forms will be covered under these guidelines. So this topic will be further discussed po. So now let's move on to Regional Monitoring and Evaluation Team or RMET. It is chaired by the Project Development and Management Unit Chief and composed of Subaybayan monitors, focal persons, and CSO representatives shall be responsible for overall regional monitoring and evaluation initiatives, including the conduct of quarterly validation and coordination activities. So, and the results-based monitoring and evaluation of LGU infrastructure projects, monitoring support team or Rlip MST at the OPDS, which shall provide support for the overall implementation of Rlip and other MNE programs of the OPDS. So, as stated in the FY 2022 GAA, the DILG shall monitor and evaluate the performance of the LGUs in the implementation and management of all infrastructure through the use of RBME. So, the RBME of LGU infrastructure projects or Rlip is envisioned to improve tracking of results and to meet the changing demands for transparency and accountability at all levels of government. The Rlip adopts some elements of the Regional Project Monitoring and Evaluation Team as designed by the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA for the M&E of development projects. This will enable more efficient tracking and measurement of progress of LGU's performance in accordance with national and international development plans, goals, and commitments, such as those expressed in the Sustainable Development Goals and the Ambition 2040. Since the DILG have been monitoring projects and RBME mainstreaming efforts shall be applied to current OPDS, MNE, framework, policies, and tools for all local infrastructures. So shown in the slide is the monitoring subsystems for the Rlip. We have LGU monitoring, DILG monitoring, and the third-party monitoring subsystems. The department shall ensure that the monitoring subsystems are in place to provide layers of results validation. This shall be made up of LGU through the local project monitoring committees as the primary monitoring arm for the local development projects. The DILG as LGU performance overseer and the capacity development partners, and the civil society organization or CSOs as providers of the third-party monitoring. So next, let us first tackle the roles and responsibilities of offices under the DILG monitoring subsystems. First, the department shall perform its function as performance overseers and capacity development partners. Second is shall assign subaybayan monitors or users account holders to monitor LGU encoding and uploading of required data and documents. Also, under the DILG monitoring subsystems, the following are the roles and responsibilities of the OPDS. First is act as a lead and in the implementation of Rlip and development of an overall M&E system for all infrastructure projects. Second is provide support for overall implementation of the Rlip and other M&E programs of the OPDS. And third, act as an administrator of Subaybayan platform, provider of technical assistance, and custodian to the Subaybayan user profile database. Facilitate transmittal of feedback from Subaybayan accounts holders to ISTMS on technical issues, consolidate submitted data and forms, and maintain records, and prepare periodic reports in relation to implementation and compliance, and other reports containing analyses and summaries. Provide policy development services, formulate guidelines, conduct M&E systems enhancement, and periodic review of policies. Next is facilitate capacity developments, initiatives, and development of knowledge and learning resources. To monitor and assess the DILG field office's performance in the implementation of the department's M&E initiatives for LGU infrastructure projects, operations and fund management, and other areas to be detailed in later issuance. To monitor and assess the LGU's performance in the implementation of local infrastructure projects, performance measure based on key governance reform areas shall be detailed in a later issuance. Under the DILG monitoring systems, the ISTMS shall undertake necessary adjustments to the system. Also, under the DILG monitoring subsystem, the following are the roles and responsibilities of the DILG regional office. First is to monitor and approve the enrollment of projects, data entry, and uploading by Subaybayan LGU encoders at the provincial, highly urbanized city, and independent component city. Constitute a regional monitoring and evaluation team to perform overall monitoring, including the conduct of quarterly validation activities in accordance with the DILG MC number 2020-098 and other related issuances. The DILG MC number 2020-098 or the guidance on the conduct of on-site monitoring of OPDS administered locally funded projects under the new normal and other related issuances. Provide general guidance on the implementation, convene regional coordination meetings in order to discuss the findings of RMET and facilitate the preparation of regional summary and analysis report based on our PMES form and upload to Subaybayan Rlip 1 month after the reporting quarter. Facilitate the inclusion of CSOs in the RMET and in other third-party monitoring. Take the lead in implementing capacity development initiatives for DILG field offices and LGU. So for the following are the roles and responsibilities of the DILG Provincial Office. First is to monitor the submission and encoding in the Subaybayan Rlip of the required RPM-ES forms by the LPMC and LEO. Second is to ensure the local infrastructure projects enrolled in the Subaybayan Rlip are consistent with the criteria set for the selection of projects. Third is review, validate entries and contents enrolled projects by Subaybayan LGU encoders based on the uploaded RPM-ES forms. Fourth is shall monitor the enrollment of projects, data entry, and uploading by Subaybayan LGU data encoders at component cities and municipal levels in the Subaybayan Rlip. Fifth is to approve the data entries of Subaybayan LGU data encoders for the CC and municipalities for formal endorsement to the DILG regional office and final submission to the OPTS. Last but not the least, under the DILG monitoring, the DILG in highly urbanized city, independent component city, and the municipal local government operations offices shall first monitor the submission and encoding in the Subaybayan Rlip of the required RPMES form by the LPMC and LEO. Second is to ensure the local infrastructure projects enrolled in the Subaybayan Rlip are consistent with the criteria set for the selection of projects. Third is to review, validate entries and contents enrolled projects by the Subaybayan LGU encoders based on the uploaded RPMES forms. So under the LGU monitoring subsystems, the monitoring of infrastructure projects at the LGU level shall be carried out by the local project monitoring committees in coordination with the local engineering offices. Under LGC of 1991, monitoring of local development projects is a devolved function of the LGU. As one of the three subsystems for monitoring and the primary body tasked to monitor local development projects, LPMC shall first perform its functions and observe prescribed monitoring process for local development projects as detailed in the RPMES guidelines. Second is LPMCs shall accomplish the RPMES forms and provide copies of approved RPMES forms to concerned offices, including LEO and the DILG field office. Under the LGU monitoring subsystems, the following are the roles and responsibilities of LEO in coordination with LPMC and local planning and development coordination. Shall select 2 local infrastructure projects for enrollment under the pilot application of Rlip. First is the funded through the 20% local, the 20% development fund included in the FY 2022 AIP, and dapat po yung choose 2 projects from road and bridges, water supply and sanitation facilities, and vertical structures. And shall enroll the projects in the Rlip section of the Subaybayan platforms of Subaybayan Rlip, shall perform their functions and observe prescribed monitoring process for local infrastructure projects using the RPMES forms. Lastly, as part of the 3 subsystems for monitoring and LGU infrastructure projects under the third-party monitoring subsystems, accredited CSOs shall be included in the conduct of third-party monitoring as external entities not directly related to either LGUs or the DILG. CSOs can augment monitoring activities at the local level and provide an additional layer of validation of data and result. They shall be part of the monitoring team at the DILG RO for the assessment of LGU's performance, Their roles and responsibilities will be issued in a separate policy. And that's all po. Thank you. Back to you, Ma'am Chloe.
Ayan, maraming salamat po, Ma'am Yen, for discussing our first topic for today. So reminder lang po para sa lahat to keep your mics muted unless instructed para hindi po matabunan yung mga nagdi-discuss. Maraming salamat po. So if you have any questions, meron po tayo sa ating chat box. Magsasend po ako ng link for you. Save your questions, concerns and issues in the link na nakalagay po sa ating chat box. I-address po namin lahat yan later po ng matapos lahat po ng discussions. So to proceed our next discussion, let us welcome Ma'am Elaine Revillesa to discuss about Rlip implementation and process. Let's give her a virtual hand. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you for that introduction, Ma'am Chloe. So by the way po, I'm Aline Choice Revillesa, your ISA from PDMU and one of the focal persons po for Rlip. By the way, nakikita po ba ng maayos yung screen ko? And loud and clear po ba ako? Please react. Thumbs up po, if okay.
Okay po, Ma'am Aline.
Okay po, so let me now proceed po. So today po, I will be discussing the implementation process, timelines, and requirements for form submission, encoding, and validation. So let's start po with the implementation process. So first, the LEO will select a local infrastructure projects together with the coordination po ng LPMC and LPDC. So for now po, only 2 projects lang po yung nire-require sa atin ni Central since nasa pilot testing pa lang po tayo. Then after po nilang makaselect ng infra project, i-enroll na po nila ito sa ating Rlip system with attachment po ng RPMS Form 1 and the logical framework. The next po, it will undergo po reviewing and validation. Depending po kung sino yung encoder, if it was encoded po by the CC and the municipalities, the approval po will be from provincial office. And pag si provincial naman po ang nag-encode and si HUC ang mag-a-approve naman po nito is si regional office. So if hindi po siya na-validate or hindi po na-approve, it will be returned back to the LEO. And then if nag-proceed na po siya, na-approve na po siya, and everything is okay na po, it will be, magpo-proceed na po siya sa next step, which is the encoding and uploading of RPMS forms and attachments. Ang forms po to be attached are the Form 1, Form 2, RPMS Form 3, and RPMS Form 4. So, ang mag-attach din po nito is kung sino po yung nag-encode ng project. And then again po, it will be under po ng reviewing and validation depending on the encoder. Under po ng provincial office are the cities and municipalities. Under po ng RO, yung mga in-encode po ni provincial and the HUC. So, if hindi po siya na-approve, again, babalik po siya sa previous step. If na-approve po siya, next step na po, which is the submission of data forms and attachments to OPDS. So, lahat po ng nasubmit na data ni na cities, CCs, and municipalities kay regional office, it will be endorsed po sa amin, regional office. And then sa next step po, regional level, ito po yung sa level namin. Once na na-receive po namin yung mga data na yon, it will be consolidated and we will prepare po an analysis and results report po na isasubmit din po namin sa system. And then After po nun, ang next step po natin is the national level, which is the consultation, analysis of results, and planning. So magkakonduct po sila ng consultative next year and twice a year, and magkakaroon din po sila ng awarding and ceremony, awarding ceremony. Magkakaroon po ng consultative conference twice a year and magkakaroon din po ng awarding and recognition. And this ends po the implementation process. So moving forward naman po sa next topic, which is the timelines and requirements for form submission, encoding, and validation. By the way po, this will just be a quick run through since this will be further discussed by one of our personnel or representative from central office. So papasadahan lang po natin siya. Ang next speaker po ata yung mag-discuss, further discussion about this. So if you can see on the table, we have 4 columns. The first one is the RPMS form, followed by the attachments, encoding timelines, and the validation and review timelines. So for the form 1, which is also called the initial project report, the attachments needed are the duly signed form number 1, the simplified logical framework, the project brief proposal, and this will be encoded from the time of NOAA, and the validation and timeline reviews for DILG provincial and regional's approval will be on the 3rd working day after the 25th of the month. So that is for the form 1. For the form 2 naman po tayo, which is also called the physical and financial accomplishment report. And the attachment na kailangan lang po is the duly signed Form 2 together with the geotag photos reflecting the status and progress of the project. And this will be encoded monthly po, every 25th of the month. For provincial and regional's approval, same po, 3rd working day after the 25th day of the month. Then the Form 3 po, which is also the project exception report, the attachment lang po is the form duly signed Form 3. And the submission or encoding timeline po is the 25th day of the month or the last working day before the 25th if nag-fall po siya ng weekend or walang pasok. By the way po, the Form 3 lang po, submit lang po nito is as needed lang. Kasi papasok lang po itong Form 3 if may slippage po sa Form 2. So, and the approval po, same po with the Form 1 and 2 for regional and provincial. 3rd working day after the 25th of the month. Next naman po tayo sa project results or the Form 4. Again, the attachment po is the duly signed RPMS form. Make sure lang po na yung mga i-attach natin is duly signed, completely signed po siya para hindi na po nare-return. And the encoding timeline for this is every 1st quarter of the year. So once a year lang po siya, 1st quarter lang. And the validation and review timeline for provincial and regional's approval, 5 working day after the last working day of the 1st quarter. And then last but not the least po, which is the Form 5 or the summary of physical and financial accomplishments. Ang attachment po is the RPMS, duly signed RPMS Form 5, and it will be submitted po quarterly, 1 month after the reporting quarter. And same po with the review timelines validation period, 1 month din po after the reporting quarter. And this ends po my report. Thank you for listening and have a great day ahead po.
Ayan, maraming salamat po, Ma'am Aline. Bigyan po natin siya ng virtual hand. Ayan. So, natatapos na po ang ating pag-discuss from our regional office. Now, to proceed, let us welcome Engineer Jomar Tabernilla to discuss the RPMS forms and logical framework. So, let us give a virtual hand kay Engineer Jomar. Good morning po.
Hello po, good morning po. Naririnig niyo po kaya ako?
Yes po, sir. Naririnig po.
Hello po, medyo mabagal yung internet namin so hindi na din po ako magkakamera.
Sige po, sir.
Good morning po everyone. I'm John Marta Bernilla, Engineer 3 po ako dito sa Central Office for Rlip program. So our next topic for today po will be the RPMS forms and the logical framework. Okay. So first po is ang RPMS forms po natin ay merong 5 type. Dalawang type which is the input form. Andyan yung RPMS form 1 which is the initial project report.
Excuse po,
RPMS
sir,
form 2
engineer.
which is the... Yes po.
Hindi po naka-full screen yung PowerPoint presentation niyo po.
Okay, wait.
Sige po.
Okay na po kaya.
Ayan, okay na po. Maraming salamat po, engineer.
Okay. Okay, balik po tayo. So, sa input form po, andyan po yung form number 1, initial project report. Then form number 2, which is the physical and financial accomplishment report. Form number 3, the project exception report. And form number 4, which is the project results. So, another type of RPMS form is the output form. Yung form number 5, the summary of physical and financial accomplishment, including project results. So, yung output form actually is madami pa yan na forms. Pero ang relevant lang sa atin po ngayon is the form number 5. Okay, so next. So, ang initial, sa form number 1 natin, the initial project report is used to record the basic information on program or projects by the LGU. So, it contains the following information, which is the name of the project, the funding source, location, total project cost, project schedule, mode of implementation, and physical and financial targets for the year. Ang other attachment po ng form number 1 is the simplified logical framework highlighting the intended results and the project brief. So, kung mapapansin niyo po sa pag mag-encode kayo sa subaybayan, yung logical framework po kasi wala po siyang upload button. So, ang nangyayari po, yung sa form number 1, wala pong sana po sa yung form number 1 natin, yung sa upload button ng form number 1, is kasama na lang din po dun yung attachment ng logical framework. Kaya po, kung mapapansin, may mga naibabalik tayong projects na yun lang po yung nagiging problema. Hindi po naka-attach yung logical framework. So, sa next time po, pasama na lang po yung logical framework attachment sa form number 1. Then yung project brief naman po is meron siyang sariling upload button sa subaybayan. Okay. So ito po ang isang example ng form number 1. So ayan, andyan po yung sinabi ko kanina, yung mga name of project, location, project type, funding source, mode of implementation. Yan, sa project type po pala, meron tayong tatlong pamimilian na, yung local roads and bridges, water and sanitation, and evacuation. Pero kung yung project na napili nyo po is neither of the three, meron din po dyan na others. Then, specify nyo na lang po kung ano po yung type siya. And then, pagdating po sa funding source, dito indicate nyo kung saan manggagaling yung pagkukuhaan nyo ng funds for the project. Pero since yung isa naman sa ating mga requirements ng Rlip program is that yung project dapat po ay manggagaling sa 20% development fund. However, pero in case po talaga na may other sources of funds tayo like yung donations or other investors. Then same lang po yung katulad po sa project type, input na lang po ng others and then specify po kung ano po yung panggagalingan na source natin. Then next po is the mode of implementation wherein ang pamilian po dito is the contract in case na ipapabid nyo po ito sa mga contractor or admin ko mismo, kayo po mismo, LGU ang gagawa ng project. Then for the project schedule, indicate po natin dyan yung month, day, and year when the project is expected to start and to be completed. So next po is sa implementing agency naman po is indicate nyo lang po dito kung anong city or municipality or provincial LG, etc. or LGU kayo. Then, punta naman tayo dito sa column, sa mga columns. So, for the table naman po sa first column, andyan yung total project target na indicate yung amount programmed or the total contract amount. And then, syempre dapat po yung overall percent completion is naka 100%. And then lastly is the employment generated. So clarify ko lang po no yung pinakamataas na number of employment generated throughout the duration of the project. Yan po yung ilalagay dyan. No? Regardless po, if for example, kung mapapansin niyo po yung February and March, nandiyan yung 100 na empleyado. So if ever po na may na-replace kayo, sa February po, 100 po yung na-employ nyo. So, if ever po na may na-replace kayo sa March, pero ang total pa rin po ng employed is 100, so 100 pa rin po yung ilalagay natin sa employment generated. Then, yung dito naman po sa mga monthly na columns is ang nakalagay dito yung schedule ng contractor nyo po, no? Which is, makukuha po natin yan sa S-curve na nila at yung mga manpower schedule. So, andun po yung financial schedule per month, percentage accomplishment nila. Yan po yung mga target nila no, for the month. And then yung employment generated, makikita po yan sa manpower schedule. Okay, then should be submitted by our LEO staff or personnel and shall be noted by the mayor or any authorized personnel. Okay, next po. Before we proceed po sa log frame analysis po, no, pasadaan po muna natin tong results chain. So ano po ba yung results chain? Ang mga distinct qualities ng results chain is it integrates the planning and the implementation aspects of RBME or the results-based monitoring and evaluation. Its process goes from bottom up, starting at the input or activity level and working upward to the outcome and impact. So it is different from planning for results, which starts from top to bottom, which shows the shift in direction that has not been previously emphasized in M&E practice. So the concept of the results chain is a schematic illustration of the intended causal relationships among various elements over time. So ano po ba yung causal, no? Ibig sabihin lang naman ito is yung cause and effect. So meron daw na cause and effect relationship ang mga elements under the results chain. So the results chain is clearly shows the plausible causal relationships among its elements, while also clarifying the various technical processes and feedback loops planners need to be aware of. So itong results chain natin is composed of two stages, which is the implementation stage and the result stage. So dyan sa implementation stage, andyan yung inputs and the activities, while sa result stage naman po is the outputs, outcomes, and the impact. So the basic process, ang pinaka basic niyan po is to plan from right to left. by initially focusing on the impact and intended outcomes and then identifying the outputs, activities, and inputs required to achieve them. So, ang ang process po kasi nito is alamin natin kung ano yung problem ng ating area. So from there, makaka-create po tayo ng goal para ma-solve yung problem. So yan po yung impact natin, no? So from there, sa ating goal, sa ating impact, diyan natin yan yung pagbabasyanan para alamin natin kung ano ba yung mga kailangan nating objectives at kailangan maging project para ma-achieve yung goal natin. Kasi usually po is maglilista tayo ng mga projects and then doon sa mga projects na yun, ano ba yung magiging nakukuha natin or nagiging benefit natin from the project. So yun po kasi yung usual na nangyayari. So ngayon po is babalik ta rin po natin yan. So talaga pong results based tayo. So ayun, sa impact po tayo magbe-base. So yung tracking performance po natin is yung pag track po ng mga achievements natin or accomplishment is from left to right naman po. Feeding information back to inputs and then activities to make necessary adjustments and improvements, thus leading to better results. So yung inputs, andyan yung financial, human, and material resources, and the activities are the tasks and actions undertaken to transform inputs to outputs. So also, they should answer the question, why should this be implemented? No? Pero ito kasi hindi tayo focus sa implementation. Doon tayo sa results. Hindi tayo so ito, ang outputs natin, yan yung mga products and services produced. And then the outcome is the intermediate effects on efforts or short, medium term. So yan yung mga objectives natin. Ito yung mga ma-achieve natin once na gawa natin yung mga outputs. Ito agad yung magiging intermediate objectives na ma-achieve natin. And then, ang impact naman is the long-term improvement in society and answers the question, why should we do the project? So yan, sabi ko kanina, yung inputs and activities, hindi siya included sa simplified log frame natin because more focus tayo sa results level of hierarchy of objectives. So ang logical framework. Ang logical framework is a planning tool consists of a matrix which provides an overview of a project's goal, activities, and anticipated results. So it provides a structure to help specify the components of a project and its activities and for relating them to one another. So it also identifies the measures by which the project's anticipated result will be monitored. So the method, the logical framework, is now being used at different levels of interventions at policy and more complex program or project levels. So the focus now has shifted towards ensuring accomplishment of the outcomes of development interventions. So there is a need to distinguish the log frame as a method using tools and concepts consistent with the method's analytical tools and the matrix format used in presenting the results of the analysis. So with the emphasis on development outcomes, the matrix format as described in the results chain is now more popularly called as the results framework. So the outcome mapping and the theory of change schools of thought are also introduced. So important analytical tools need to be applied to get a better picture of the problem situation and to identify more responsive development interventions. So these analytical tools don't have to be applied. It only depends on whatever information is already available in the current situation. So sa situation po natin ngayon, actually, hindi nyo kailangan gumawa nitong analytical tools nito, which is yung problem analysis, objective analysis, stakeholder analysis, fishbone diagram, SWOT analysis. analysis of alternatives, decision matrix, utility analysis, at iba pa, no? Kasi kung meron po kayo nung CDP, andun na po kasi lahat yun. Yun ang meron na po doon mga sectoral goals, and then from the sectoral goals po is nakalista na po doon yung mga projects, mga objectives and projects na pamimilian nyo po para sa Rlip program. Pero if in the case po talaga na mag-start from scratch, so pwede niyo pong gamitin tong problem analysis and objectives analysis. So regardless of the methods used po, it is important to take into account the different perspectives of the same social reality. So in our case, the best suitable analytical tools which can help us in formulating our hierarchy of objectives is the problem analysis using problem tree and the objectives analysis using objectives tree. So a problem is a matter or situation regarded as unwelcome or harmful and needing to be dealt with and overcome. So problems are neutral descriptions of concrete negative situations and should not be confounded with an absence of preferred solutions. So ang purpose po ng problem analysis is to analyze the existing situation surrounding a given problem. It also identifies the major problem of the situation and visualizes the relationships between cause and effect in a problem tree which describes the status of a current problematic situation. So problem analysis using problem tree. Okay, the problem tree is an analytical instrument that is very suitable for participatory problem analysis in workshop settings. So this analysis is based on simple linear causality and identifies the causes and consequences of problems. So meron po tayo dito example na case scenario para dito po natin pagbabasihan yung paggawa natin ng problem tree, objectives tree, and then the log frame analysis. So, sa isang barangay po, which is a vast agricultural land, has a topography which describes as a rolling hill, partly forested, and with a good source of spring water if tapped. And then, meron din pong river na malapit dun sa barangay. So, ang primary sources po nila is of food and income of the majority of the population are subsistence or backyard farming and freshwater fishing. So some of the residents of the barangay grow corn, rice, peanuts, cassava, squash, and other root crops for their subsistence. So excess produce are brought to the market in the nearest poblacion or sold to traders. So however, daw yung income po from the agricultural produce is limited due to the absence of farm-to-market roads. So ayan, isa na po yung problem is lumilit yung income nila dahil wala sila either sira or wala talaga silang farm-to-market roads. And then yung land transport nila, facilities and other infrastructure support is wala din. So ang nangyayari, yung mga residente ng area ay na-force to sell their produce to middlemen and traders at a very low cost or a marginal profit. Then, although a large part of the barangay is suitable for rice and other crops, this remain idle for lack of regular source of irrigated water. So another problem ng area nila is lack daw of regular source of irrigated water. So ang nagiging primary sources of drinking water nila is unsanitary dug wells. So during the peak of summer, these dug wells can hardly meet the needs of the residents. So meron din silang one primary school, pero yung facilities na yun cannot accommodate all the school age children in the barangay. So the secondary school is in the town proper, and the road traversing the barangay is not possible during the rainy season. So again, problem talaga nila is yung access road, no? So there's no electricity, only 5 houses have their own toilets, and waterborne diseases and mortality are very high. So yung population daw, as of 2022, ng barangay na yon is estimated at 1,000. consisting of more or less 150 households. So ang history shows a fluctuation in its population as its residents are highly exposed to diseases due to health and sanitation problems. So, ayun, from the scenario po, makikita natin meron silang access road problem and water sources problem, no? So, from dun po sa scenario na yon, pwede na tayong gumawa ng problem tree. So, ang una nating gagawin is to identify or reconfirm the so-called core problem. So, for this example, na isa lang siguro ang gawin natin para medyo madali lang. So, ang pinili kong problem nila is yung mga residents ay nagkakasakit dahil sa waterborne disease. Dahil sa lack of access to sufficient clean water, no? And then from there, from now nalaman natin yung core problem, let's identify now the direct causes of the core problem. So arrange them below the core problem, step by step. The participants, should look for the causes of these causes. So yung after natin malaman yung mga cause ng main problem, hanapin natin yung mga sub-causes ng causes na yon para ma-refine natin yung ating problem tree. So for this example, ang main cause of the problem is the lack of hygiene and sanitation awareness and the deteriorated or lack of water system. So ano pa ba mga causes bakit nag-deteriorate or wala silang water system? Siguro another cause is the bad design and construction quality, or no regular maintenance. Yun. So madami pang pwedeng maging causes yan, no? Pero sa example na to, hanggang dyan na lang muna tayo. So next step is to identify the effects of the core problem. So what we'll do is to place them above the core problem. So for this example, ang ating effect is that the residents get sick due to waterborne diseases. And then other effects pag nagkasakit is high mortality rate, higher expensive on health services, and reduced productivity. So, syempre, mayroon pa yan. Kung syempre, pag may namatay or na-reduce yung productivity, mababawasan yung income ng area, no? So, pwede pa yan. Pwede nyo pang i-dagdagan ng dagdagan. So, pero sa ngayon, yan na lang muna. So next step is doon naman tayo sa once na nagawa natin objective yung problem tree, next na tayo is to get the objectives tree. So ang objectives analysis describes a desirable and realistically achievable future situation if the problems were solved. So analyzing systematically the desired situation using a means to end relationship and enables planner to identify several alternatives. So, for an example of an objective tree, so medyo madali lang to, no? Gagamitin lang natin yung problem tree kanina and just convert it to an objective tree, which is, kailangan lang natin gawin yung positive statements. So, yung lack of access to sufficient clean water natin is magiging has sufficient access to clean water. Then, lack of hygiene and sanitation awareness, magiging yung mga residente ngayon is magkakaroon na ng awareness, and then yung deteriorated or lack of water system is ma-maintain at sufficient na din yung potable water system. So the bad design and construction will have a good design and construction quality, and that the water system will be regularly maintained. So same din sa kanina, yung ating residents get sick due to waterborne diseases will be reduced, and mortality rate will decrease or lowered, and then expenses will be reduced, and productivity will increase. So, ayan, yung i-relate na natin to sa log frame, no? Yung kanina, yung parang core problem, siya kasi yung magiging outcome sa log frame. And then, yung ating causes, diyan natin makukuha diyan natin makikita kung ano yung magiging project natin, kung ano yung magiging outputs natin. And then, yung ating impact or yung goals is yung effects sa problem tree. So ayan, once na nakuha natin yung objective tree, mas mapapadali na tayong i-identify yung hierarchy of objectives natin, which is the impact, outcome, and output. Okay? Pero once, sabi ko kanina, kung meron kayong CDP, andun na po kasi yung nakalista na po dun yung sectoral goals natin, and then under ng sectoral goals is multiple objectives and multiple projects po. Kasi isa sa mga definition ng impact is that hindi siya na-achieve ng isang project lang po. Na-achieve siya through multiple projects. Okay, so next tayo, the logical framework format. So the logical framework is a matrix with 4 columns and 3 rows, and then 12 fields as shown below. So ito po yung format kapag simplified, no? Pero kung yung buong log frame talaga, meron pang kasunod yung after ng outputs. Yun yung inputs kanina and the activities. So the simplified log frame, ayan, sabi ko nga po kanina, may 4 columns and 3 rows yan. So columns 1 and 4, which is the hierarchy of objectives and risk assumptions column, depicts the cause effect hypothesis, and the columns 2 and 3, the indicators and means of verification, describes the measurement of the project results. So yung row 1 and 2 naman, which is the impact and outcome, describe the intended effects, and row 3, which is the outputs, are the planned services and products. So we will be using this logical framework format, but while using the results framework approach. So sabi ko kanina, yung results framework is a tool to assist with achieving the measured and measuring specific objectives at the sector, country, or regional level. So usually it's laid out in a diagrammatic form, and it uses the objective tree approach to link high-level objectives through a hierarchy to program-level outcomes, and then sets out a means by which achievement at all levels of the hierarchy can be measured. So next time. So formulating the logical framework, so hierarchy of objectives. So ang impact, it is the aim or end toward which the project outcome is directed, and it is maybe a condition or a problem to be addressed. So it is an entire program may be directed toward the achievement of the goal, and it is achieved not by one project alone, but through a portfolio of projects. Clarify ko lang po kasi nung consultative context po, parang nagkaroon po ng debate or pagkaka hindi unawaan dun sa naging example po ng log frame natin doon. Ang sabi po, ang example po kasi nung project is parang construction or repair ng access road and pathways, which is ang dinedebate po nila is ang pathway daw po is hindi ang nakalagay po kasing impact doon is parang increase in economy ng lugar, no po. So ang inaano po nila, if pag nagkaroon ba ng pathway or nag-create ng pathway, may increase na yung economy ng ng lugar. So sa kung mapapansin niyo nga po dito sa ating definition, ang impact po is not one project alone. So siguro kaya nga po maganda din po na meron tayong log frame is para at itong Rlip na to para malaman natin kung yung project po na yon is nakaka-contribute po sa pag-increase ng economy, no. So yun nga po pagdating po mamaya sa form 4, nandun po kasi yung observed results. So if itong log frame po is para siyang planning po, no. So hindi mo masasabi agad-agad kung makaka-increase talaga or hindi siya makakatulong sa pag-increase ng economy. So yung pathway po actually kung titingnan niyo mabuti, pwede siya kasi hindi naman po lahat ng business or ng mga nagde-deliver po is hindi po lahat nakasasakyan yan. No? Yung iba po talaga or yung ibang tao is gumagamit lang naglalakad lang or nagtutulak ng kanilang business papunta sa mga lugar para sila makabenta. So, kung isipin niyo po, at least kahit pa paano, may impact din yung pagkakaroon ng pathway or pag-verify ng pathway po para maka-increase na economy. Although hindi ganun kalaki, pero at least yun nga po from definition man po ng impact, hindi lang naman po yun yung pagbabasehan natin para masabing na-achieve na natin yung goal. So ayun po, kinarify ko lang po yun kasi parang hindi nagkakaintindihan ng consultative conference. So next po tayo. So ang outcome naman po is the overall objective which the project is designed to achieve. Then the achievement of the purpose should contribute directly to the achievement of the impact. And output is the goods and services or deliverables produced and provided by development interventions or by programs or projects. And it is also the providers of these goods and services are normally the agencies of government with or without assistance from the private sector or from the funding agencies. So next, ang pag-formulate naman po ng indicators and means of verification. So the establishment of clear and measurable indicators is the most important part of establishing a monitoring system. So yung indicator is a qualified or quantified parameter to which a development intervention has been achieved within a given time frame and in a specified location. So yung indicators po are performance standards which translate the strategic objectives into empirically observable, quantified, and concrete or objectively verifiable indicators. So napapansin po namin sa mga nasasubmit nyo po or na-encode yung log frame, yung indicators po natin is not measurable. Wala po siyang numbers. So although nakalagay po na may increase or decrease or may madadagdag or merong maayos, pero hindi po natin siya ma-measure or maka-quantify. Kailangan po kasi ang indicator natin is isa sa characteristic niya is dapat po quantifiable siya. Meron po dapat na numbers. Although masasabi natin na nag-increase, wala po tayong target. Kailangan po nating malaman, kailangan po nating indicate po yung numbers, no? So next time po yung sana yung sa encoding natin, dapat meron po at least, for example, 10% increase or 20 kilometers length constructed or something like that po. So next po tayo sa means of verification. So means of verification is the information sources necessary for data compilation that would allow the calculation of indicators. So it also answers the question how to acquire evidence that the objectives have been met and where to find proof which will verify the realization of each indicator. So in short po, the indicators together with the means or sources of verification provides the basis for performance and progress monitoring. So defining the fields of the logical framework and their interrelationships. So two considerations on how to fill out the logical framework. So first is the vertical logic and second is the horizontal logic. So the vertical logic of the log frame is described as the outputs when provided must be sufficient to accomplish the outcome, and the outcome when accomplished should contribute substantially to attaining the impact. So the vertical logic also includes the fourth column or the risk assumptions column when there is a risk assumption at a certain level of the hierarchy, except at the impact level. The assumption must hold true and the risk must be mitigated for the next level of objective to be accomplished. So, preparing the logical framework and understanding its various elements are not technically difficult. Pero medyo challenging lang po siya mentally and intellectually, for it requires that all fields of the matrix must be vertically and horizontally linked in a means to ends or cause and end relationship. So, to develop the hierarchy of objectives, we build upon whatever we have done so far. So, gagamitin nga natin yung problem tree and objectives tree. So, we can also make use of a sector-specific literature or about proven cause-effect relations. So, lahat yon, they all serve as the quarry from which we source our raw materials. So, the outcome is stated first because it contains the direct planned result of the project. So sabi ko nga po kanina, kapag itong outcome nito is yung mga objectives na ma-achieve lang to agad-agad kapag natapos mo yung output. So since it be accomplished within the life of the project, the statement should be realistic, reflect an improve or change condition with the utilization or application of the services or goods by the target beneficiaries, formulated as the summary result of the target beneficiaries utilizing all the goods and services provided by the project, stated as a completed state or condition accomplished in the medium term. So, once na meron tayong outcome, punta tayong impact. No? So, the impact statement is stated next. So, it is considered to be a higher level objective, and normally it is accomplished beyond the life of the project. So describe a situation where the benefits of the project are enjoyed or sustained by the target beneficiaries and should be realized in a longer term and requires other interventions for the benefits to be realized. So hence, the relationship po ng, between outcome and impact are indirect. So once meron ka na niyang impact and outcome, proceed na tayo sa output. So ang output are the services, goods, products, or deliverables of the project. So the statement of output should be as concrete good or services, stated as a completed condition, sufficient to accomplish the outcome, numbered, which indicates that there are several outputs directly related to the accomplishment of the outcome. So thus, a direct means to ends relationship between the outputs and the outcome should exist and identified logically, not necessarily sequentially. So once na-identified po natin ang mga objectives, proceed na tayo sa kasunod, which is the risk assumption column. Ayan. So ganyan po yung vertical logic and horizontal logic na po. So unang gawin natin is yung vertical logic. So from the outputs po, nung pupunta tayo sa risk assumptions column. So the risk assumptions column is accomplished by working vertically from the level of output and moving up to the level of the outcome. Assumptions describe conditions that must exist if the project is to succeed, but which are outside the direct control of project management. So assumptions are stated as positive conditions that should be realized, while risks are negative conditions that should be avoided or mitigated. So yung paggawa po sa vertical logic is if natapos po natin yung project, yung output, tapos and yung assumption natin ay correct at yung mga risk natin ay na-mitigate, then the outcome will be achieved, no po. So for the next one is same process lang po. If the outcome is achieved and yung ating assumptions ay correct and yung mga risk ay na-mitigate, then achieve na po natin ng konti. Konti lang kasi isang project pa lang to. Yung impact. So mas mapapalapit na tayo sa pag-achieve ng impact. So take note lang po, yung relationship between the hierarchy of objectives column and the assumption risk column reflect the vertical logic of the results logical framework. So this relationship implies that the objective being influenced or affected by the important assumption is at the next higher level of objective. So the vertical logic is demonstrated by the direction of the arrows. So next po, yung the horizontal logic, which includes columns 2 and 3, requires lateral thinking. So in those columns, the role of the indicators is to specifically describe what is meant by the objectives. So the third column, on the other hand, relates to the means or sources of verification. So yung indicators po na, so, mapapansin niyo po, no, nagdagan ko po yan ng dalawang columns under the indicators, which is the baseline and target. Ito po ay para mas mapadali natin magawa yung indicator statement. So yung baseline po, yan po yung current or past condition or situation na gusto nating baguhin sa ating area. And then yun yung target, yan yung desired level natin or expected level of change. So from there po, makakagawa na tayo ng indicator statement, no? So kaya po sabi ko kanina, dapat yung indicator statement natin is measurable or merong mga numbers. Doon po sa baseline ng target, doon po natin makukuha yun para maka-formulate tayo ng indicator statement. Kasi kung wala yan, hindi natin ma-measure, hindi natin ma-monitor or ma-evaluate yung ginawa nating project. No po. So yung indicators, yung defined are measures of performance. Then the roles of indicators is to specify and clarify what the objectives mean in terms of such relevant characteristics. So ayun po, ang indicators po natin, ang characteristic po niyan is meron dapat po siyang quantity, then quality. Quality means madali siyang intindihin at related po siya sa nakatapat niyang hierarchy of objectives. And then, syempre dapat meron timetable yan. So, kasi para alam natin na in this year, kunwari po, example, at meron tayong percentage na achieve na ganito or dapat yung buong outcome is ay yung ating buong objective is ma-achieve na in this year. Ganun po. And then, dapat din po ang indicator natin is meron location. Pero since yung log file ginagawa natin is specific for one project or one area, I think it is okay now kahit hindi na po natin ilagay yung location. So, the indicators consist of 3 parts. And po, nandiyan yung baseline, which is the current or past condition or situations that need to be changed. The target, this is what is to be expected or desired level of change, and the indicator statement. So it is what the objective means or what is to be measured. So ayan po yung indicators natin. So sana po na-clarify na po yung paggagawa ng indicators, no, or yung pag-formulate ng indicator statement. Kasi pag yung nga sabi ko po kanina, kulang-kulang po yung nailalagay indicator sa log frame na nasa-submit or na-encode sa subaybayan. So when konting tip lang po, no, when formulating indicators, it is advisable for the planning team to go through a process of selecting and prioritizing the identified indicators. So as part of the brainstorming, the process includes to identify all the possible indicators. So gawa kayo ng list or mag-inventory kayo and then select those indicators that are most relevant. Prioritizing among the selected indicators based on data availability, resources for data collection, and personal absorptive capacity. And then after that, decide only on a few key indicators. So when looking naman po for means of verification, consider the following. No? The data are the data required available from secondary sources like official statistics or internal reports. And then how available and up-to-date are these sources? So kapag po ang means of verification natin ay hindi cannot be found, so dapat palitan din natin yung indicators natin. So ayun nga po, ang indicators at means of verification should go hand in hand. No? And so the indicators and means of verification columns reflect the horizontal logic of the logical resource framework. So ayan po, sa kuha tayo ng based po dun sa problem tree kanina, kumuha tayo ng logical framework example. So ang problem kanina po is sources of water po. No? So ang magiging project natin is potable water system infrastructure. So first, to fill out is the hierarchy of objectives, which can be filled out using the objectives tree earlier. So it doesn't matter po kung ano una nyong i-fill out na ngayon. Kasi nga, gumawa na tayo ng objectives tree. Dahil, since na-identify na nga po yung mga yun. Pero if hindi po talaga kayo gumamit ng mga tools natin, please consider to first identify the outcome, then the impact, and last is the output. Sabi ko din po kanina, if meron na po kayong CDP, andun po nakalagay na po dun yung sectoral goals, objectives, and the project. So no need, hindi na po kayo mahihirapan. So from the objectives kanina po, ayan, ang ating outcome is that the barangay residents has access to safe water and transports water on closed containers. And then ang impact natin is that the incidence of diarrhea or any other water-related diseases has decreased. So sabi ko nga po kanina, pwede nyo pang mas taasan yung level ng impact. Kanina may mas mataas pa dyan, di ba, which is the increased productivity or the reduced mortality rate, parang ganun po. And then may mas mataas pa din ipapuntaasan yan, which is the increased economic, since kapag mataas na yung productivity, mas mababa na yung mga yung mortality rate, syempre mas tataas na yung economic status ng inyong area. So pwede din yun po yung ano. Pero kailangan nyo din pong tingnan no kung kaya niyo bang kunin yung data for that objective, no. If hindi po, so balik tayo sa mas mababang impact. So for this example, ang ating impact is the incidence of diarrhea or any other water-related diseases has decreased. So next, from dun sa objective 3 natin, nakagawa tayo nakahanap tayo ng mga projects na pwedeng maka-achieve ng outcome natin. So ang mga projects na pwede natin gawin is pumps are built and functioning, and then pwede na naman pong non-infra, no, which is the people are aware of hygiene and sanitation issues, and that we can place water committees para inform sa mga tao, excuse me, para mag-inform sa mga tao about the awareness of hygiene and sanitation issues, and also pwede na natin bigyan ng trabaho yung water committees na mag-maintain ng ating mga pumps. So once na-identify na natin yung hierarchy of objectives, lipat na tayo sa fourth column using the vertical logic kanina, yung risk assumptions column. So from the output to outcome and the impact. So ayan, if natapos na po yung output natin, if nagawa na yung mga pumps, and aware na yung mga tao at nagkaroon tayo ng water committees, nag-assume po tayo na yung mga tao sa area will not use other water sources. No, ito na lang ginawa natin yung gagamitin nilang water sources, and that the water committees are capable to manage the systems. So ang possible risks is that the residents have no interest and do not participate in the training session, and that low rainfall limits overall water supply. So if na-achieve po natin output and yung mga nilagay natin sa assumption and risk are correct and mitigated, ma-achieve na po natin yung, we can say that we achieved our outcome, no, na the barangay residents has access to safe water. So once na-achieve yun, mag-ano po ulit tayo, mag-assume po ulit tayo na yung food processing natin has low impact na on diarrheal diseases, and that the residents clean and cover their storage containers appropriately, and ang inassume natin na risk is that general misuse and overuse of available water resources, and there's climate mutation or climate change, no. So pero once na correct po yung assumption natin and yung risk po is mitigated, we can say na mas mapapalapit tayo, mas makikita natin na mas mababawasan yung incidence ng diarrhea or any other water-related diseases. So once na natapos natin yung fourth column, we can proceed now with the vertical logic, no, yung pag-fill out ng indicator statement and means of verification. So first, simulan natin sa task sa impact. So ang baseline natin, for example, so for this example, ang ating information dun sa area is that nagkakaroon sila ng 100 deaths per 1,000 population, no. Yan yung current situation. For example, kasi wala naman po ako ng totoong data, so gumagawa na lang po ako. Pero sa inyo po, you can check po, no, kung ano po yung current status ng area nyo with regards dun sa impact sa objectives natin. So ang target natin for kapag nagawa tong project na to is mabawasan yung deaths. So for example po dito, 40 deaths po per 1,000 population in 2028. Ang nilagay ko po ditong year is 6 years, kasi po yun yung duration po ng CDP. Okay, so from the baseline and target, makagawa po tayo ng indicator statement na 60% less deaths from waterborne diseases attributable to unsafe water, inadequate sanitation, and poor hygiene in 6 years. So paano po ba natin makukuha yung data na yan? So ang means of verification po natin is pwede po natin kunin yan sa ating local health office, or magkaroon po tayo ng statistics, or pwede din pong magkaroon ng survey. So once na-complete natin yan, punta naman tayo sa outcome. So ang baseline natin sa status po ngayon ng barangay is that 30 households out of 150 has access to clean or potable water and uses covered containers in 2022. So ang pinaka-target natin, syempre, once na natapos yung mga project natin, is that lahat po ng household, the 150 households have access to clean or potable water and uses covered containers. This should be 2028 now. Palitan na lang po later. 2028 po yan. And indicator statement, so from there, from the baseline and target, makikita natin na 100% na yung population na naggumagamit ng improved water, and that they also covered na their containers. So in 6 years po yan, in 6 years. Okay, so paano po natin ma-verify yung data natin is through survey, or pwede din pong makuha yan sa information from the sa mga water committees na linis natin, no? So sa kanila pwede din po natin yan makuha. And then for the output, ang baseline natin, so for is that dalawa lang daw yung pumps sa area na yon, tapos hindi pa maintained, and then walang training session, hands-on training session na nangyayari, and that walang water committees group. So ang target natin by the end of the CDP, or before or during CDP duration, is that magkaroon tayo ng 10 community maintained pumps, and then magkaroon ng quarterly hands-on training session at magkaroon ng 5 water committees group by 2025 or 2028. So from there, from the baseline target and the target, makagawa ulit tayo ng indicator statement. So magkakaroon daw ng additional 8 pumps throughout the barangays in a year. And then magkakaroon ng quarterly hands-on training on community organizing undertaken conducted, and that magkikreate tayo ng 5 organized and functioning water committees group in 3 years. So means of verification, pwede nating mag-verify yan through technical inspection, yung ating pumps. There's also the survey, kung ginagawa talaga yung mga trainings, and then there's also syempre yung progress photos, progress reports of meetings and training sessions, and the certificate of completion. So next po is another example, no. Sabi ko po kanina, dun sa scenario, parang dalawa yung naging problem nila. Isang problem ulit. Ang isang problem is yung water, yung sources of water, and the other one is the farm to road access, no. Farm to market road access. So for example, natapos na natin yung problem 3, objectives 3. From there, nakagawa na tayo ng hierarchy of objectives. So ang outcome natin is to open up new roads and rehabilitate or concrete all farm to market roads to make it possible to all types of motorized land vehicles. So ang impact natin is to have a safe, efficient, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure for easy movement of people and services. And ang outcome natin is ma-maintain yung paved road at magkaroon ng makapag-construct ng panibagong concrete road between places, as well as link roads and roads works done. So once na fill out na natin hierarchy of objectives, lipat na tayo sa risk assumption using the vertical logic. So nag-assume tayo na magkakaroon ng appropriate strategy and adequate allocation of funds to road maintenance, no? And that ang risk lang dito is pwede tayo maka-encounter ng problem that may cause the delay in road construction, like design, natural process, etc. So if ever man na nagawa natin yung output na kompleto yung project, and yung ating assumptions and risks are correct and mitigated, then we can say na achieve natin yung outcome. So once na-achieve yung outcome, gawa ulit po tayo ng assumptions and risks, which is the increase in, since nakapag-open na ng road, assume natin na mag-increase na yung trade and economic activity sa area. Then there's also the risk of poor traffic and road planning, which lead to heavy traffic and vehicular accidents. Pero once na nasabi natin na yung assumption is correct and risk is mitigated, we can safely say na mas mapapalapit na tayo ma-achieve yung ating impact, which is to have a safe, efficient, reliable, and sustainable infrastructure for easy movement of people and services. So next po is to fill out the indicator statement and means of verification. So from the impact, ang baseline is that yung current situation is 40 minutes to 1 hour travel time and market to market and production areas in 2022. And there's also a 10% overall road accidents due to defects in 2022. So ang target natin, syempre, mabawasan yung travel time natin to 20 minutes to 30 minutes. Reduction in travel time to market and production areas by 2028. And mabawasan yung overall road accidents natin due to road defects by 2028. So from there, makakagawa tayo ng indicator statement na at least 20 minutes increase in time saved per kilometer in 6 years. And there's 5% less vehicular accidents and casualties due to road defect in 6 years. So means of verification natin, kung saan natin makuha yung mga data is either local statistics, surveys, safety audits and inspection, and monitoring reports. And then next po is ang baseline natin sa outcome is that ang meron tayong 50 na traffic count per 24 hours traffic volume in 2022, and ang target natin is madagdagan at least 100 traffic count per 24-hour traffic volume. So ang indicator statement natin is at least an increase of 50 traffic count per 24-hour traffic volume in 3 years, or again, it is, I think it's 2028 and in 6 years. So pwede nating means of verification is traffic counts and measurement of general mobility. So for the output, ang plan natin is meron tayong 5-kilometer road na hindi na maintained. And then there's zero new roads constructed in the area. So ang target natin is madagdagan yung roads ng at least 5 kilometers, and that yung kabuuan ay yung 10-kilometer na road na lahat na yun is well maintained. So indicator statement natin is that additional 5 kilometers paved roads in a year and 5-kilometer new roads constructed in the area in a year. The means of verification is certificate of completion reports, audit and supervision reports, and progress photos. So another next na po tayo, no? Another attachment po ng Form 1 is the project brief. So sa project brief po, dapat andyan yung name, project description, and meron po tayong short description na at least 2 to 3 sentences, and andyan po yung project type, yung pinili po natin kanina, either local roads and bridges, water supply and sanitation, or vacuum center, or multipurpose hall. Andyan din po dapat yung location of the project, and should dun sa description should at least ma-answer yung question na the project demands on the natural resources assured of being met for the life of the project, and would the project be at any risk from environmental or human-made hazards. So another one na kailangan ilagay sa project brief template is the activity components. So andito dapat yung kung sino magmamanage ng implementation, and what complementary measures are needed to ensure project success or reinforce the intended effects. List the things that need to be done to produce the desired output, and state the duration of each component. So next is the estimated cost of resource inputs. Andito yung amount na implementation funding, and then breakdown of costs. Naka-breakdown po siya ng materials, labor, equipment, etc. Then the total cost. And then saan po nanggaling yung ating funds, no? So next one is the justification of the project. So andyan dapat yung objective of the project, what indicators of development does the proposed project address, what other places is the project likely to have an effect, and how, and what social and economic activities in what location are likely to be affected by the project, and how. Kung mapapansin niyo po yung mga nasa log frame natin, yung objectives, indicators. kung meron na po kayo ng log frame, mas madali na po makikita, isasagutan to project brief. And yung ito naman po dapat na project brief ay dapat meron na tayong kopya na dahil if we follow procedures po and requirements sa comprehensive development plan, preparation for the local development and investment program, isa po ang project brief sa mga requirements nila at kailangan i-prepare. So another na kailangan nakalagay sa project brief is the target beneficiaries. So andyan yung population sectors or geographical areas. Another one is the target outputs or success indicators. So yan, sabi ko nga po, dapat quantifiable siya if possible. And then include the indicator of success and means of verification. So is the project meant to be improved, to improve the area's socio-economic performance in any other ways? And what complementary measures are needed to ensure project success or reinforce the intended effects? So another one is the possible risks or external factors that could frustrate the realization of the project, maybe natural resources, social, economic, etc. And lastly is the ano po yung expected private sector response natin. So kailangan naka-specify dito yung desired private sector participation, example, investments. And what are the expected responses by the private sector and other stakeholders to the change that will result from the project. So ito po ang example ng project brief. So ito naman pong PowerPoint is ibibigay po natin mamaya para meron kayong kopya, para meron kayong pagbabasihan ng gagawin yung project brief. Okay? So next po tayo sa Physical and Financial Accomplishment Report, RPMS form number 2. Okay. So this report will be used to document status of program or projects that are being implemented by the LGU. So it shall contain the following information. Andyan po yung physical, which is the actual progress of programs or projects against the target or scheduled accomplishments, including information on employment generated, and the financial status, which is the actual disbursements made by the project against obligations or actual disbursements made against the total program amount of the project. So ito po ang example ng form number 2. Ito po yung accomplish nyo po every month, no, at every 25th day of the month. So sa andito po nakalagay is yung obligation, disbursement, and the physical status. So, kukunin nyo lang naman po yung information from the form number 1. So, pagdating po, yung as of reporting period po, dyan nyo po ilalagay yung mga information sa form number 1. So, yung example po natin is as of January 2022. So, as of reporting period, dapat ang obligation niya is 3 million and ang disbursement is 2. Kaso, ang naging actual disbursement lang po is 2.4 million. So ito pong, for example po, no, usually po kasi ang contractor either magbibill lang po yun ng isahan na lang after the completion of the project, or for example, basta isang month lang siya nagbibill. So kailangan niyo pa rin pong mag-submit nito. Pero pwede niyo na po siguro ilagay na zero po yung binil, no? So ilalagay niyo lang po yung actual na binil niya doon sa month kung saan siya nag-billing. So yun po yung ilalagay sa disbursement. So obligation po is parang yan yung planned na gagamitin for that month. Planned na pera na gagamitin for that month. So disbursement yun yung actual na binil for that month. Okay, so kung wala po, kung hindi po siya, for example, hindi po sila nag-bill ng ganitong month, hindi zero na lang po ilagay niyo. Then, for the next column, the physical status. So, andyan po yung target to date. No? So, for the month of January, 20% po yung target ni contractor na dapat na accomplish. So, and then, yung target to date, yan po yung cumulative target for the month. Yan po yung as of reporting period, yung January. So then yung actual to date po, Yun yung actual lang na nagawa ni contractor na 16%, for example. And then actual for the month, same lang po. Since January po yung start ng date. Pero for example po, as of February tayo, for example, sa target to date, 40% na po yan. Pero yung target for the month, 20% pa din po. Kasi since sabi ko nga po kanina, yung target to date is cumulative. And the target for the month is yan po yung accomplishment dapat for the month of February. Then for the actual to date, for example, naging 16% din yung nagawa niya February. So ang actual to date is 32% kasi cumulative yan. And then actual for the month is 16%. So ayun po, sana klaro po siya. Cumulative po ang target to date, then target for the month is yung monthly accomplishment po. Then for the implement generated for this example, as of January 2022, 72 yung male na in-employ ni contractor, and then 8 yung female na in-employed. So should be submitted by any members or staff of LPMC and noted by the LPMC chairperson or local chief executive. So next po is the project exception report or the RPMS form number 3. So this report records the factors that results in an outstanding performance of a project or critical problems that cause delays in project implementation. So ang example, ito po yung example ng form number 3. So ang form number 3 po is as necessary lang po. So if ever sa form number 2, may makita tayong delay, kagaya ng kanina, delay siya ng 4%. So kailangan mag-submit kailangan meron tayong project exception report para malaman natin yung causes ng delay niya. So for the dyan makikita po dito yung name of project, project type, location, implementing agency, then implementation po. So dito, i-check nyo lang po kung ahead of schedule ba siya, on schedule, or behind schedule. So kung ahead of schedule, kanya pa rin pong mag-report ng ganito para at least malaman natin kung ano ba yung ginagawa niya para maging ahead of schedule siya. For this example po, behind schedule si contractor. So ang findings natin ay siguro dahil insufficient yung equipment niya and vehicles at saka low productivity of laborers. So ano ba yung mga possible reasons niyan or causes? Or siguro insufficient yung na-examine sa contract documents, no? And si contractor is might be moving some equipment to other ongoing projects. So hindi po posibleng mangyari yun. Kasi sigurado magtitipid yan, ililipat-lipat lang yung mga equipment niya. So isa po yun sa mga possible delays na po. And then for the low productivity of labors, possible reasons niya or causes is that mababa magpasahod si contractor, so hindi motivated sa mga laborers niya, and wala din incentive siguro para yun nga maging motivated ang laborers. So ano ba recommendations natin as LGU? Kailangan i-recommend natin si contractor na makapag-require siya na to provide equipment and vehicles that is specific to only one project. So kung ang nakalagay sa contract documents natin is dapat meron siyang isa or dalawang backhoe project, dapat nandun lang siya sa project na yun. Okay. Another one is that LGU to check the contract documents for the number of equipment and vehicles that the contractor should provide for the project. So dapat check din natin yun, no? Baka mamaya naman malaki yung project pero yung equipments niya or mga vehicles niya is pang maliit ang project lang. So dapat i-check din po natin yan as LGU. So for the next one, ang LGU to recommend the contractor to increase the salary pay of their labor based on their skill set and experience, and LGU to recommend the contractor to ensure that larger percentage of skilled labor should be assigned and be motivated to improve productivity. So ang gagawa din po nito is should be and submitted by any members or staff of LPMC. The next po is the RPMS form number 4, which is the project results. So this form shall provide information on the benefits of the project. So the results should be based on the logical framework indicators. Okay, so sa example, so ang sabi po kanina, ang submission ng form number 4 is at the end of the first quarter na po. So, pero yung data po nun is dapat as of December 2020, yung end of the year po. Pero yung pasahan po niyan is, ayun nga po, for the first quarter lang po. Okay? So, example po. So, andito makikita niyo po yung sa frame na po ito. No? Dito na po dito na po natin gagamitin yung log frame. So, yung nakalagay na po dito yung objectives at results and indicators. So, kaya nga po nagsabi po kanina, dapat na indicators ay merong mga numbers para po malaman natin kung na-achieve po natin siya. So, for this example, no, makapansin nyo sa observed results lang yung merong sagot, yung merong naka-fill out. Kasi, sabi ko nga po kanina, yung objectives, yung ating outcome and impact, hindi po agad yan makikita yung results. Although meron, kahit pa paano, kapag nagawa agad after ng project matapos, meron pa rin, pero I think it's not ganun kalaki. So, for now, yung ang may fill outan lang po muna natin is the output. So, as of December 2022, yung example natin kanina hanggang January to May lang yung project. So, syempre, as of December 2022, completed na yung road construction. So, ayan po yung nailalagay natin sa observed result. Road construction is 100%. So, if ever na as of December 2022, meron na kayong makuhang data or nag-gather na kayo ng data for the outcome, so pwede nyo din na pong ilagay yung resulta dito. So, ang indicator natin, tinatag natin is magkaroon ng increase ng 50 traffic count for 24-hour traffic volume. No? So, if ever po na as of December 2022, kung nag-gather na kayo ng data, so pwede nyo na po din ilagay dito. Pero, ito nga pong Form 4 is yearly po natin siya gagawin kasi hindi naman po ang pinaka-target naman po talaga natin dito is malaman kung yung ating impact is na-achieve po. So, hanggat hindi pa natin na-achieve yan or hanggat dun sa indicator natin in 6 years, hindi pa po tapos yung 6 years, pasa lang po tayo ng pasa ng Form 4 para malaman natin kung na-achieve po talaga natin impact. So, ayan po yung sinasabi ko po kanina na dun po sa example sa consultative conference na hindi po naman po basta-basta makikita agad-agad yun yung ating results ng impact po. So, kaya nga po tayo gumagawa nitong log frame para malaman if yung project ba natin na ginawa is merong impact sa ating outcome. So, pag wala po, di gawa po ulit tayo ng panibago or hanap po ulit tayo ng project na maka-achieve ng ating impact. So, ang gagawa ng Form 4 is any members or staff of LPMC and should be noted by the LPMC chairperson or local chief executive. So, last slide na po tayo is medyo maaga pa. So, summary of the physical and financial accomplishments including project results. So, yan po yung form number 5. So, this is the output report of the RPMC. So, region na po ang gagawa nito on financial and physical status of project implementation. So, it will contain the project title, funding source, project schedules, original or revised, financial and physical performance, and employment generated by the project in Mondays. So, measuring project performances is the physical performance is equals to the actual physical accomplishment over the target physical accomplishment multiplied by 100%. The slippage is the actual physical accomplishment minus the target physical accomplishment, and the fund utilization is equal to the disbursement over the obligation times 100%. So ito po ang example ng form number 5. Okay, kung papansin niyo po, dalawang row yung merong ano dito, yung merong naka-fill out. Gumawa lang po ako ng isang delayed na example tsaka isang kompletong example kasi ang magbabari po yan sa remarks po natin. So sa first row po, so as of March 2022, ang obligate na po is 10.5 million, and then ang na-bill na po ni contractor na disbursed is 10 million. So ang amount program po natin, ang total contract, yung project cost is 15 million. So gamit po yung formula kanina, makukuha natin si fund utilization, which is 95%. And then for the physical status po, yung target to date niya is 70%, pero ang actual lang na-accomplish ni contractor is 55%, which has a slippage of negative 15%. So, ibig sabihin lang po ito sa performance natin, ang performance ni contractor, 78.57% lang po yung kanyang performance. No, hindi niya binibigay yung 100%, no. And then for the employment generated as of March 2022, 90 po yung male na employed, and then there's 10 na female. So sa remarks po natin, kapag may slippage po tayo, may negative slippage po tayo, ilagay po natin dyan na the project is delayed due to insufficient, kung anong yung dahilan, bakit siya delayed, due to insufficient vehicles and equipment and low productivity of laborers. Tapos lagay na lang po natin dyan is C Form 3 for reference para po mas makita natin yung causes ng delay, no. And then for the row 3 po, for the next row, ito po completed na yung project. Kung papansin niyo, 100% na po lahat. And so ang remarks lang po natin diyan is the 100% completed, and then C Form 4 for observable results. So doon i-check sa form 4 po natin malalaman yung resulta po ng ating project. So should be submitted by the RPMC staff or personnel and noted by the RPMC chairperson. So ayun lang po, maaga tayo natapos na. Maraming salamat po. Para okay na din po yun para nagkaroon tayo ng open forum or questions. Thank you po.
Ayan, maraming salamat po, Engineer Jomar, sa inyong mahaba-habang discussion regarding the RPMS forms and logical framework. So bago po ang lahat, para po sa distribution ng presentation, ibibigay po namin ito sa mga respective PEOs of each provincial office at sila po ang magbibigay ng kopya sa mga LGUs. So yung presentation po, ibibigay po namin diyan sa mga PEOs para ibigay po sa inyo. So ngayon po, we will be opening our floors for an open forum. So ang gagawin po natin ngayon sa open forum is to answer all the questions and address all the issues and concerns regarding to those presentations and discussions earlier. So yung chat box po ay open po. Kung may mga katanungan po, pwede po tayong magtanong through our chat box. Ayan po, may mga katanungan po ba regarding po sa mga discussions nila Ma'am Yen, nila Ma'am Aline, and Engineer Jomar? Kung hindi po kaya chat box, available din po ang pagtaas ng ating virtual hand dito sa Zoom. At pwede po kayong magtanong using your own voice. Anyone po in the room? Ayun po, si Sir Edgar. Pwede po kayong mag-unmute. Ano po ang katanungan nyo?
Question lang po. Doon sa dati nating form ng RPMS, ito na po yung kapalit nung dati.
Ayun po, yun po yung tanong ni Sir Edgar. Sino pong pwedeng makasagot? Paulit po, Sir Edgar, ng tanong.
Revision po ba ito doon sa dating RPMS forms?
Sino pong pwedeng makasagot ng katanungan ni Sir Edgar?
Hindi masagot. Ma'am, kasi po dati meron ako dito ng LPMC handbook. Tinitignan ko iba na yung itsura ng mga forms 1 to 4. Parang na-maintain.
Okay po.
So kung change
Sino po?
yun,
Sige po. Sino pong pwedeng makasagot ng katanungan ni Sir Edgar?
sige, sige.
Okay, sandali lang po ah.
Okay po.
Sa iba po, kung may katanungan po kayo na
Madam Chet, ikaw
sa mga ating resource speakers, ayan po. Sige po. Available po ate ang ating chat box. Sige po, intayin po natin sila po pang masagutan ang inyong katanungan, Sir Edgar.
Okay po.
Sige, Sir Edgar, paulit daw po uli ng tanong, sabi ni Engineer Jomar.
Meron po ako dati nung yung handbook ng LPMC galing sa DLG. Ito po bang bagong form na ito parang revision ng dating forms natin na RPMS forms 1 to 4. Ito na yung gagamitin.
Ayun po. Yun po yung tanong ni Sir Edgar. Bagong version na po ba ito? Tama po ba ako sa tanong?
Apo.
Ayun. Bagong version na po ba ito?
Yung RPMS.
Hello po. Yung forms po natin na binigay ngayon, galing lang din po siya doon. Pero parang naka-ano lang po siya. In-adjust lang po natin sa kung ano yung kailangan nating mga data na ilagay sa subaybayan. So if ever po na ang ginagamit niyo pa rin po is yung dati po, okay lang naman po yun.
Nasagot po ba ang katanungan niya, Sir Edgar? Na-commute po kayo if ever. Or bigyan niyo na lang po ako ng thumbs up kung nasagot na po ba yung tanong para makaproceed na po. Or may follow-up questions po ba tayo, Sir Edgar?
Sabi ko para sa akin mas maganda yung bagong form kasi parang mas simple siya kaysa dati. Mas yung kanyang table. So okay lang po.
Sige po. Thank you po, Sir Edgar. So, ayun po. So, if you don't have any follow-up, sige po, Ma'am Yen.
Bali, ma'am, bali sa forms na binigay po ngayon, bali, yun na lang po muna yung gamitin natin for Rlip purposes po sa pag-encode po ng project para hindi po tayo magulo. Kasi yun din po yung susundin niya sa subaybayan. Sir Edgar. Ayun, Ma'am Chloe. Okay na po. Thank you.
Ayan. Thank you, Ma'am Yen. So, okay na po tayo, Sir Edgar?
Okay na po.
Sige, maraming salamat po, Sir Edgar. So, meron po dito sa chat, galing from LGU Dumaran. Sabi po, good morning everyone. Itatanong ko lang po sana kung kailan po kami mag-upload ng Form 2 ng mga uploaded projects sa subaybayan. Sino po ang pwedeng magsagot ng katanungan na ito? Galing sa LGU Dumaran. Ulitin ko po, itatanong ko lang po sana kung kailan po kami mag-upload ng Form 2 na mga uploaded projects sa subaybayan.
Hello ma'am, ako na lang pong sasagot.
Sige po,
So,
Ma'am Aline.
based po dun sa report, ni-report ko din po kanina, bali ang submission po natin ng Form 2, ang cut-off po is every 25th of the month. Every 25th po of the month. Before, on or before.
Ayun po. Nasagot po ang katanungan from LGU Dumaran. Pakibigyan po ako
Additional-
ng... sige po, Ma'am Yen.
Ang uploading po ng Ma'am Aidin, ang uploading po ma'am ng Form 2 is once ongoing na po yung project. Kada month po siya, mag-upload po siya.
Ayun, mukhang satisfied naman po si Ma'am Aidin ng LGU Dumaran. Thank you po, Ma'am Yen and Ma'am Aline. Okay po, from DILG Occidental Mindoro, Sir Cuevas, Jomar. Ano pong katanungan niya sa ating mga resource speakers?
Good morning po. So, ang question ko lang po, regarding po dun sa RPMS form 2 po. Kasi di ba po ang submission natin is every 25th day of the month. Then, ang question ko po kasi, papaano po natin mailalagay na na-hit po natin yung target accomplishment kung early po tayo nagpapasubmit nung RPMS form 2? What if po kaya ang cover po kasi, ang nakalagay po kasi dun sa plan is last day po ng month bago niya ma-hit yung 20%. Ngayon, ay hindi pa po kasi na-reach yung end of the month. So, ang mangyayari po kasi is mas mababa po yung percentage na nilalagay nila dun sa kanilang RPMS Form 2. So, magkakaroon po sila ng slippage.
Yan po. Sino po pwedeng makasagot ng katanungan?
Hello, good morning po.
Good morning po.
For that question po, sir, siguro po, sir, ano na lang natin, ipaset na lang po natin sa LGUs dun sa projects nila na mag-submit na lang ng SOA ng before 25th para hindi po magkaroon ng mag-overlap po yung reporting ng Form 2 din sa bigay po nila ng SOA.
Bali sir, di ba po ang maging basis po kasi nila doon ay yung S-curve po ni contractor. Tama po ano?
Yes po. So kung yung before 25th na lang po siguro yung yung reporting na natin, yung magiging actual nila na pag-submit nung SOA nila before 25th kung ano yung na-target nila dun sa S-curve nila.
So automatic sir, magkakaroon po sila ng ng slippage kung halimbawa po hindi nila na Kasi kung ano ba po sa 25th day po is 17% or 19% pa lang. So may 1% pa rin po kasi silang slippage. Parang ganun.
No, sir. Pero pwede sir naka-stay pa rin po dun sa S-curve. So every 20th na lang po sir siguro yung kunin natin na reporting period sa NASWA sa LGUs para pag-report po natin ng 25th. Pasok pa rin po yung yung sa target nila.
Sige pa sir. Okay po. Gets na po.
Ayan, nasagot
Sige
po yung
thank you
katanungan.
Yes po, yes po. Thank you po.
Ayan. Salamat po. Ito po galing po dun sa link na ibinigay ko po nun. Sa RPMS Form 2 po, okay lang po ba na sa unang implementing month ay nakalagay na dun sa obligation as of reporting yung buong amount? Uulitin ko po, sa RPMS Form 2 po, okay lang po ba na sa unang implementing month ay nakalagay na dun sa obligation as of reporting yung buong amount? Hindi po naglagay kung sino po ang nagtanong ng question na yon. So, does anyone want to answer that question? Sino po makakasagot?
Ano lang, ma'am?
Sige po, Ma'am Donna.
Yes, ma'am. Okay lang po na ilagay siya ng buo sa implementing month. Bali, ma'am, kasi sa subay naman po, pag in-encode po siya, ang ilalagay niyo na lang po dun is 0. Pero sa Form 2 po na hard copy, is ilalagay niyo pa rin po yung buong amount po.
Ayan po. Kung sino po yung nakapagtanong ng question na yon?
Okay po, ma'am. Thank you.
Ayan. Thank you po from DLG Ormin po pala. Sige. Maraming salamat po. Any more questions po? The chat box is open for questions, issues, and concerns para ma-address po agad ng mga resource speakers natin. Anyone? May mga katanungan po ba? Pwede po kayong magtaas ng kamay kung nahihiya po kayo magsulat. Another from Sir Jomar from DLG Occidental Mindoro. May questions
Good morning.
po?
Yes po, ma'am. Meron po ulit. Regarding naman po dun sa logical framework po. Kasi di ba po, ang sabi po kasi doon ay wala daw po, kailangan daw po kasi na yung indicators are measurable daw po dun sa encoded po. So, paano po kaya namin or okay lang po ba na i-edit pa po namin yung logical framework po na encoded po namin dun sa mismong portal? Or okay na lang po na yung mismong nakalagay po doon ay yun na muna?
Okay, sino po makakapagsagot ng katanungan ni Sir Jomar from DLG Occidental Mindoro?
Hello.
Hello po.
Hello po.
Yes po, from
If,
OPDS.
if ever po na gusto niyo pong i-edit yung sa log frame niyo po sa subaybayan, pwede po kayo mag-request po ng for edit access po ulit nun. Mag-chat na lang po kayo sa mga respective focal persons po natin dito sa central office na po para po mabigyan po kayo ng access for editing po ulit.
Hello, ma'am. Additional lang po kay Sir Jomar, si Janine po ito. Bale, upon open editing po, so babalik po ulit tayo nun sa pinakaunang step. So babalik po yan sa LGU. Pwede niya pong ma-edit hanggang i-vet pa rin po siya ng central office. So babalik po siya sa unang proseso.
Ayan, nasagot po ba ang katanungan, Sir Jomar?
Yes po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Ayan, thank you po. Any more questions po from the participants? Sige po, meron pa daw pong tanong. Let me check. Ayan, ito po. Kapag po hindi na-reach yung impact sa timeline, this is from Ormin, PO2, Oriental Mindoro na po ito. Kapag hindi na-reach yung impact sa timeline na binigay sa indicator ng logical framework, ano po ang mangyayari or ano po gagawin ni LGU? This is regarding RPMS form number 4. Kapag hindi po na-reach yung impact sa timeline na ibinigay sa indicator ng logical framework, ano po ang mangyayari or ano po ang gagawin ni LGU in regards po sa RPMS Form 4? Sino po pwedeng makasagot ng katanungan na ito?
Um, Ma'am, si Janine po ulit ito. So, bale, ma'am, dito po sa atin, as of now po, yung ating monitoring lang po is, imo-monitor lang po natin yung mga LGU infrastructure projects ng mga LGUs. So, pagdating po sa kung hindi po siya na-implement or wala po tayong, hindi po natin yon sa ibang division na po yun or sa ibang bureau na po yun papasok. Kasi for Rlip po, imo-monitor lang po natin yung mga LGU infrastructure na ini-implement po ng LGU. So wala pong sinasabi, baka ang sinasabi kung mag-aano ng sanctions or something. So wala pa pong ganoon na level yung ating Rlip monitoring. So more on pag-i-input at aalamin lang natin kung ano yung mga LGU infrastructure projects na ating ini-implement sa mga LGU. Yun lang po. So wala po tayong pwedeng gawin. So siguro ang magagawa na lang ng nagmo-monitor sa mga i-report siya sa isa ibang division or sa ibang bureau na itong si LGU ay hindi nag-implement ng projects. Parang yun lang po.
Ayan, thank you po from OPDS, Ma'am Janine. Am I wrong po ba, Ma'am Janine po? Ayan
Janine po, tama.
Ayan. Sige, thank you, Ma'am Janine. Nasagot po ba ang katanungan? Okay, from Oriental Mindoro sabi, okay po, ma'am, copy po. Another question, ito po, from Occidental po ulit, can we edit the encoded logical framework? Kung nasagot na po, sabi, yes, you can request for open editing. Ayan. So, any more questions po from our resource speakers? You can use the chat box po para magtanong, or you may raise your hand here in the Zoom meeting para ma-address po natin agad yung mga concerns nyo. Wala na po ba?
Wait. Ito po bang tanong na kapag po hindi na-reach, ito na po ba yung kanina?
Opo, yan po. Yung sinagot niyo po kanina, ma'am.
Kapag po hindi na-reach. Mali ata ang ano ko. Kung ano po yung gagawin ng LGU is kailangan i-report niya po. I-report niya po doon sa form na yung mga issues na bakit hindi siya nangyari. Like for example po ba ang pwedeng maano neto is sa logical framework. So halimbawa ba hindi naging maganda yung buhay ng mga tao. So dahil sa project hindi naging maganda yung hindi na reach yung ganong purpose. So siguro po i-indicate lang po natin sa forms na i-report lang po natin na hindi po siya na reach. Yun lang naman po. Para
thank you po
para noted lang siya. Naka-report lang po siya. Pero as to DILG part, wala naman po tayong dapat na ibigay na kasi ito lang po ay for the purpose of monitoring lang po. So as to sanctions na ibibigay kasi hindi naman kapakipakinabang yung projects, wala naman po tayong dito. Wala dapat tayong gagawin kasi meron naman pong ibang bureau or office dito sa DILG ang in charge po sa ganyan.
Ayan po. May follow-up question lang po sa same question po. Sa RPMS form po ba ilalagay? Follow-up
Yes,
question lang po.
yes po. Di ba po may mga ano po doon, may mga key assumptions or ano, i-input na lang po doon yung mga findings po.
Ayan, maraming salamat po, Ma'am Janine. Mukhang okay naman po si DILG Oriental Mindoro regarding that question. So this one is coming from DILG Marinduque. Good morning. Regarding po sa RPMS Form 2, lahat ng data is manggagaling kay contractor. So paano yung physical target sa Form 1? Pagbabanggain po ba siya kung na-meet ng contractor ang target percentage that month na ibinigay ni LGU? Kung kay contractor man manggagaling ang data, how come na malalaman natin na may slippage or di na-meet ang target kung di siya ibabangga sa Form 1 na bigay ni LGU? Masyado po bang mahaba ang tanong? Ilagay po natin siya sa ayan. Ito po yung tanong. Ayan. Mukhang ayan po. Ito po yung tanong. Regarding po sa RPMS Form 2, this is from DILG Marinduque. Sino po pwedeng makasagot ng katanungan na ito? Regarding po sa RPMS Form 2, lahat ng data is manggagaling kay contractor. So paano yung physical target sa Form 1? Pagbabanggain po ba siya kung na-meet ng contractor ang target percentage that month na ibinigay ni LGU?
Hello po.
Yes po.
Yes po, ibabangga po natin yung data sa Form 2 dun sa Form 1. So kung mapapansin niyo po yung sabi ko po kanina doon sa table sa Form 2, yung andun po yung targets natin po. Yung mga targets po na yun is kukunin natin sa Form 1. So ayun po, doon po natin makikita kung merong slippage si contractor pagdating sa actual accomplishment niya. Ayun po.
Ayan, nasagot po ba ang katanungan from DILG Marinduque? Pakibigyan po ako ng thumbs up or any chat na okay po sa atin yung answer. Ayan, mukhang, ayan. Thank you po, Sir John. So next po ulit, from follow-up question po ulit from DILG Occidental Mindoro. Tanong po, follow-up question po dun sa tanong po regarding the log frame. Okay na po ba na di na namin baguhin or need talaga na ipa-revise si log frame kahit may project code na? Sino po pwedeng makapag-confirm?
Hello.
Yes po.
Ay, bali po yung sa sa log frame, kung gusto niyo po talaga siyang mabago according sa kung paano niyo, kung gusto niyo pa siyang i-improve, pwede naman po siyang i-open for editing. Pero kung satisfied na po kayo doon as to your level, pwede na po natin yan i-consider kasi may project code naman na.
Ayan. Nasagot po ba ang katanungan? Yung follow-up question from DILG Occidental Mindoro? Ayan. Very good. Nag-thumbs up. Next is from LGU Kalayaan, from Tina M. Balofinos. May activity po ba for validation of project accomplishment ang region? Kailan po kinakandak?
Ako na din po ba ang sasagot nito? So, bale,
Sige, okay lang po.
bali po, meron tayong profiling and validation activities, right? Yung napag-usapan po natin during NCC. So, ang ano po namin dito sa central office ay magre-release po kami ng memo na magbibigay ng hudyat na pwede na po tayo mag-start ng profiling and validation activity. So, ang target po namin na mapasign for signing po ng aming director ay by tomorrow po. So, yung memo po na yun ay ilalabas by tomorrow. So, ang tentative date po natin for profiling and validation activities is sa October 17 hanggang November 15 po.
Ayan, nasagot po ba ang katanungan natin? From LGU Kalayaan? Give me a thumbs up po if nasagot po yung tanong or any confirmation in the chat. Pakiulit daw po yung date, ma'am, Janine.
Sa ano po, yung tentative date po natin, so yun po yung i-indicate sa memo. So, October 17, you can start, pwede na mag-start po ng validation, profiling and validation activities ng October 17 hanggang November 15 po.
Ayun po. So, October 17 to November 15, 2022 po. So, any more questions po from our participants to our research speakers? Anyone? Meron pa po ba? Huwag pong mahihiyang magtanong. Do we still have any more questions from our participants? Kung wala po, there will be another session for an open forum regarding sa kahit itong na-discuss and sa mga susunod na i-discuss mamaya after lunch. So, kung meron po pong katanungan, huwag pong mahihiyang magtanong sa chat box, or if you want to raise your hand, we will address your questions, issues, and concerns regarding po sa Rlip. Ayan, so as you can see in our chat box, meron po tayong link dyan. Well, kung meron po kayong follow-up questions or other issues and concerns, ilagay nyo po dun sa Excel na pinapakita ko po ngayon. So for now, we're going to have our 10-minute break. So, short break po muna tayo bago po tayo mag-proceed sa susunod. So, stop sharing po muna tayo. So, again po, 10-minute break. Please come back at exactly 10:20. 11 rather. 11:20 a.m. Ano ako? Ayan, nagbabalik po tayo sa ating orientation for today. So kung napapansin niyo po, meron po tayong link na nakalagay sa chat box. Kung wala pa pong maisip na katanungan, you may input your questions here in the link. So save your questions, issues, and concerns in the link. We will be addressing them for today. So continuation po ito sa ating mahiwagang open forum for today. So kung may mga katanungan po, we're still open. Please open your, you may open your video cameras or your microphones, so you may chat your questions in the chat box, or pwede nyo pong ilagay ang mga katanungan nyo dun sa link na ipinigay ko po. May mga katanungan po ba regarding the discussions earlier? Nandito pa rin po ang ating mga research speakers, si Ma'am Yen, si Ma'am Elaine, at saka si Engineer Jomar, and we also have Ma'am Janine from OPDS to answer your questions po. And engineers then po coming from here in regional office. So may katanungan pa po ba? Open pa po ang ating questions here in our chat box. Mas magiging engaging po tayo pag meron po tayong question. Mas mahilinawan po tayo, at lalo na po pag live, kasi po at least dito po ma-explain po nila agad. They can give you more explanations rather than waiting for diba po, written explanations, etc. So may mga katanungan pa po ba tayo regarding the orientation natin ngayon? Anyone po? No, may questions po ba regarding wala pa pong nag-a-update dun sa link na ibinigay po namin ni Ma'am Aline? No more questions na po ba? Since we don't have any more questions left, let us now proceed with the announcements coming from Ms. Ma'am Yen, again, from DLG Mimaropa.
So yun, good morning po ulit. So sa announcement po, for advance information lang po, may nilabas po si DILG Regional Office na memo dated October 4, 2022 regarding sa conduct po ng simultaneous encoding and updating of data of locally funded projects and LGU infrastructure projects sa subaybayan po and assessment of completed projects in RSSA system. Every 20th of the month. So every 20th of the month, magkakaroon po tayo ng sabay-sabay na pag-encode po ng projects natin. Second po is yung may mga project codes na po sa kanya-kanyang probinsya, maaari na po kayo mag-proceed sa Form 2. If nagkaroon po tayo ng slippage, mag-submit na rin po tayo ng Form 3 for that specific month and need at for justification po. Ayun lang po. Thank you.
Yan, maraming salamat po, Ma'am Yen. Ulitin ko po, available po sa ating chat box if you still have any more questions, kung mamaya pa darating ang inyong mga tanong. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. So upang tapusin po ang ating orientation for today, imbitahin po natin si imbitahin po natin ang isa sa mga engineers po natin here in Regional Office of Mimaropa. Let us welcome Engineer Kyle Hirao to give us our closing message. Let us give them a warm welcome with virtual hands po. Maraming salamat.
Good morning po sa ating lahat. Gusto ko lang pong magpasalamat sa ating mga kasamahan mula sa Central Office na nagpahayag po ng kanilang kaalaman at nagbigay ng oras upang mapalinaw yung results-based monitoring and evaluation for LGU infrastructure projects o yung ating pong Rlip. Gusto ko rin pong magpasalamat sa ating mga LGUs at mga kasamahan sa DILG na nakasama sa orientation and activity natin ngayong umaga. I hope na naging fruitful po yung activity natin. Sana'y nakinig po tayong lahat ng mabuti at naintindihan po natin kasi kailangan po natin galingan dito sa Rlip natin para mapakita po natin yung performance natin and matuloy-tuloy po natin to hanggang sa mga susunod po na taon. Kapag mayroon po tayong mga further questions or inquiries po na hindi natin naisip ngayong umaga and na-encounter po natin during sa mga susunod po na araw or linggo, nandyan po yung mga project evaluation officers po natin sa mga DILG provincial offices. And pwede po tayo sa kanilang magtanong and masasagot naman din po natin yun. Yun po. And muli po, sana po ay naintindihan po natin yung mga questions and answers po natin, yung open forum po natin ngayong umaga. And muli po, magandang umaga po ulit sa ating lahat and mag-iingat po tayong lahat. Thank you po.
Yan, maraming salamat po, Engineer Kyle. Bigyan po natin uli siya ng virtual clap sa ating Zoom conference meeting. So maraming salamat po sa atin sa pakikilahok at pagbibigay ng participation towards this orientation on results-based monitoring and evaluation of LGU infrastructure projects ngayong araw na ito. So regarding po sa certification nyo po, please wait for your certificates in your email address na in-input nyo po sa inyong attendance link. So kung yung attendance link nyo po, you may input your email address there. Doon po namin isa-send yung certification nyo po when you for your attendance and participation here in the orientation. So maraming salamat po ulit. Dito na po nagtatapos ang ating orientation on results-based monitoring and evaluation of LGU infrastructure project. So magandang araw po sa inyo. Have a great lunch. Have a great day. Maraming salamat po.